Hello, I'm Misha, Adobe creator and producer of the Deep Dive podcast. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 27, and today we will be doing a deep dive into the Switch 2 versus Xbox versus the PS5. Okay, it looks like Grace and David have their snacks ready and are settled in behind the microphones, so let's get going.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. So you're trying to get a handle on the current video game console scene, right? Maybe cut through all the tech jargon and reviews.
Yeah, there's a lot out there.
Exactly. Well, you've come to the right place. This deep dive is produced by Misha St. Ors, who's an Adobe creator, and this is Season 3, Episode 27.
Mm-hmm.
We want to pull out the really key info comparing the Nintendo Switch, the Xbox Series X and S, and the PlayStation 5.
Basically help you figure out what makes each one tick. Yeah. Their strengths, weaknesses, what's unique.
Right. And choosing one isn't just like picking a machine, is it?
Not at all. You're really buying into a whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
You know, the hardware, sure, but also the games, the online stuff. It all caters to different kinds of players, different styles.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Starting with Nintendo. The Switch, it often feels like it's doing its own thing.
Yeah.
What's the core idea there?
Well, the really fascinating thing about the Switch is that hybrid design. It's kind of revolutionary, wasn't it?
Totally.
Merging handheld gaming with, playing on your big TV.
Yeah.
That flexibility, it just clicked with a lot of people. Gaming on the bus, then docking it at home.
Yeah, that adaptability is key. You can just switch.
Yeah. And those little controllers, the Joy-Cons, they're actually pretty central to that.
How so?
Well, they detach, obviously. So you get flexible controls, motion controls sometimes, which would be cool. But also, instant multiplayer.
Right out of the box.
Exactly. Hand one to a friend. That's a big plus for families. Or just, playing together without buying extra gear immediately.
And Nintendo means Mario, Zelda, Pokemon.
You can't separate them, really. The Switch has this incredibly strong library of first-party games, those exclusives, those characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's often the deciding factor for a lot of buyers.
So even though third-party games are on there?
They are, and support has grown, definitely. But it generally targets a slightly different crowd, or maybe a different need than the PS5 or Xbox with their big AAA third-party focus.
Gotcha. And if you want to play online, there's Nintendo Switch Online?
Yep, that's their subscription. It gets you online play, cloud saves, sometimes, and access to a library of classic NES, SNES, and Game Boy games.
How does it compare price-wise?
Generally, it's the most affordable of the three main online services. But the features are a bit different, too. Not quite the same scope as the others.
Okay, let's talk power. We always hear about the PS5 and Xbox being beasts. Where does the Switch stand?
Yeah, look, if you're just looking at raw specs, the Switch's custom NVIDIA chip, it's less powerful, no question, than the Series X, S, or the PS5.
But that's not really Nintendo's game, is it?
Exactly. They don't chase the highest frame rates or 4K across the board. Their focus is always on optimizing for their hardware, delivering smooth performance for their games, and really unique gameplay. Innovation over raw grunt, you could say.
Makes sense. And people are always talking about what's next, a Switch 2.
Oh, yeah. That's the big rumor, always bubbling up. Lots of anticipation for a successor. The speculation, suggests it could be a pretty significant performance jump.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
Like how much of a jump?
Some reports hint at maybe PlayStation 4 level power, something like that, which could really open things up for developers on Nintendo's platform.
Interesting. Okay, let's pivot now. Microsoft.Xbox. They have two consoles, right?
That's right. You've got the Xbox Series X, that's the big, powerful flagship, and then the Xbox Series S, which is smaller, digital only, and more affordable.
That's different targets.
Definitely. The Series X is aiming for true 4K gaming, potentially up to 120 frames per second. For people with the high-end TVs who want the absolute best visuals.
And the Series S.
The Series S targets 1440p. Still great, very capable, but it's a more accessible entry point into this generation's games. Digital only is the key thing there, though. No disk drive.
So the Series X is technically the powerhouse.
In terms of raw specs, yeah, it's generally considered the most powerful console on the market right now. But honestly, a huge part of the Xbox story isn't just the box. It's Game Pass.
Ah, yes, Game Pass. You hear about it constantly. Why is it such a big deal?
What's the value, really? It's a subscription like Netflix for games, basically. You pay a monthly fee, you get access to this huge rotating library of games.
Hundreds of games.
Yeah, loads. And crucially, it includes brand new releases from Microsoft's own studios, Xbox Game Studios, Bethesda, on day one.
Day one access is huge.
It's a massive selling point. You don't have to pay $70 for their big new exclusive. If you subscribe, it's just there.
Yeah.
It changes the economics of gaming for a lot of people.
What else does Xbox bring to the table?
Backward compatibility is a big one. They've done a really good job letting you play games from older Xbox generations. Original Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One. A lot of those libraries carry forward.
That's great for longtime fans.
For sure. If you get a big digital library, it's a major plus.
Now, online play, that needs a subscription too.
Yes. For online multiplayer on Xbox, you need either Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which bundles Game Pass and online play, or the newer sort of baseline tier Xbox Game Pass Core.
So Game Pass is pretty integrated into their online offering.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Even the core tier gives you access to a smaller curated list of Game Pass titles.
Any other neat Xbox features worth mentioning?
Yeah, a couple of really nice quality of life things. Quick Resume is fantastic.
What's that?
It lets you suspend multiple games at once and then jump right back in where you left off almost instantly. Like flipping between games without long load screens.
Oh, that sounds useful.
It really is. And then there's Smart Delivery. It basically ensures that if you buy a game that exists on both older Xbox consoles and the new Series XS, you automatically get the best possible version for the console you're playing on. No confusion, no buying it twice.
Nice user-friendly touches. Okay, let's move over to Sony, PlayStation 5. What's their main philosophy?
Sony with the PS5, and they've got that newer slim model out now too. They're really focused on immersion, delivering these really engaging, cutting-edge experiences. And of course, they're exclusives.
Performance-wise, how does it compare to the Series X?
It's right up there. The PS5 also targets 4K resolution, aiming for up to 120 frames per second.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely a high-performance machine capable of stunning visuals.
But the thing everyone talks about with PS5 is that controller, right? The DualSense.
Oh, absolutely, and for good reason.
Yeah.
The DualSense is, I think, a genuine innovation. It's got this incredibly detailed haptic feedback.
More than just rumble.
Way more. You can feel textures, impacts, tension, like the pulls of bowstring through the adaptive triggers. They can actually resist your finger pressure. It adds this tactile layer that really pulls you into the game.
That sounds pretty cool. What about audio?
They push their 3D audio tech, called Tempest 3D Audio Tech. The idea is to create a more realistic 3D soundscape, especially through headphones. So sounds feel like they're coming from above, behind, all around you. Again, it's all about that immersion.
And PlayStation. They're famous for their big exclusive games.
That's arguably their biggest strength, historically and currently. They have this incredible track record of critically acclaimed, often very cinematic, story-driven exclusives.
Like Spider-Man, God of War.
Exactly. Horizon, Gran Turismo, The Last of Us. These massive franchises that you can generally only play on PlayStation. If those specific games are what you want, well, you need a PlayStation.
Fair enough. What about their online service, PlayStation Plus?
PlayStation Plus is their equivalent. It's tiered now, which can be a little confusing.
Okay, break it down.
Right. So PlayStation Plus Essential is the base tier that gets you online multiplayer access and a couple of free monthly games to claim.
Standard stuff.
Pretty much. Then there's PlayStation Plus Extra. That adds a big library of downloadable PS4 and PS5 games, kind of like Game Pass, but generally not day one releases from Sony.
Okay, and the top tier?
That's PlayStation Plus Premium. It includes everything in Extra, plus access to a library of classic PlayStation games, PS1, PS2, PSP, some PS3, via streaming and cloud streaming for many games in the catalog. So more options, higher price.
Got it. Any other key PS5 tech features?
Well, the super fast SSD is a big one. That custom NVMe SSD means loading times are often incredibly quick.
Yeah, you hear about that a lot.
It really makes a difference to the flow of gaming. Less waiting around.
Trade in your boring job for a brilliant career using Adobe Creative Cloud. Start learning now with the free trial link in the description.
It also supports ray tracing for more realistic lighting and reflections. And they just launched the PS5 Pro.
Ah, the Pro model. What's the deal there?
Even more graphical power, basically. Better ray tracing, faster speeds, and this new upscaling tech they call PSSR PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. It aims to make games look sharper, closer to native 4K, even if they aren't running at that resolution internally, pushing the visuals even further.
Okay, so we've gone through the hardware, the services, but at the end of the day, isn't it really about the games you want to play?
I mean, yeah. That's often the bottom line, isn't it? Your choice usually comes down to which games library appeals most to you.
So, quick recap on that.
Sure. Nintendo Switch.
Ah.
Definitely the place for those unique Nintendo exclusives, Mario, Zelda, etc. And lots of great family-friendly stuff. Plus that portability.
Xbox.
Xbox, with Game Pass, offers incredible variety and value. A huge library across all sorts of genres, plus those day-one first-party games.
And PlayStation.
PlayStation is really strong on those big, polished, often narrative-focused exclusives. The Spider-Mans, the God of Wars, high production values. And while, yeah, lots of third-party games are on all of them.
There can be differences.
Sometimes, yeah. Maybe one platform gets a timed exclusive, or a game might run slightly better or have specific features, like using the DualSense on PS5. So if you're really keen on a specific multi-platform game, it might be worth checking if there are any differences.
Makes sense. And online play, we covered the services, but just to reiterate.
Right. All three need a subscription for most online multiplayer. Nintendo Switch Online is generally the cheapest, gives you the basics plus classic games.
Xbox.
Xbox Game Pass Ultimate is the all-in-one package. Online play? Huge game library on console and PC. EA Play Cloud Gaming. Game Pass Core is the cheaper option just for online and a few games.
And PlayStation Plus.
Tiered. Essential for online and monthly games. Extra adds the big game catalog. Premium adds classics and streaming. You pick the tier that fits your needs and budget.
So, if you had to boil down the single most unique thing about each one, their defining feature.
Okay, for Switch, it's absolutely the hybrid versatility. Handheld and TV play, plus the Joy-Cons. Nothing else does that.
Xbox.
Game Pass. The value and the sheer volume of games, especially day one access, plus things like Quick Resume are really nice.
And PlayStation.
I'd say it's that focus on immersion, spearheaded by the DualSense controller, backed up by their powerhouse exclusives, and the speed of the SSD and 3D audio.
Okay, final piece. Cost. How do they stack up price-wise?
Generally, the Nintendo Switch OLED model is a bit cheaper than the main PS5 and Series X. The Xbox Series S is usually the most affordable way into the current gen.
And the PS5 and Series X?
They tend to be priced pretty similarly, though you might find bundles or slight variations. And remember, the PS5 now has the standard and the Pro model at different price points.
And don't forget the subscriptions add up.
Crucial point. That ongoing cost is part of the equation. Nintendo's is the cheapest, then PS Plus and Game Pass tiers vary. So the best value really depends on how much you play, if you buy games individually or if you rely heavily on the subscription libraries.
So we've covered a lot of ground. After all this, what's the main takeaway for someone listening trying to make that choice?
Honestly, it really truly depends on you, on your personal priorities. What do you care about most in gaming?
Is it playing Mario on the go?
Right. Is it the portability in those Nintendo characters? Or is it having the absolute most powerful machine and diving into that huge Game Pass library?
Or maybe it's about feeling that controller feedback in a big cinematic PlayStation exclusive.
Exactly. Think about what excites you. Is it the games, the features, the price, the way you want to play?
So do some soul searching, basically.
Pretty much. Weigh up what matters most. Portability, power, specific games, subscription value, unique features like the DualSense. Consider your budget, including those online costs. And the answer should become clearer. The best console is the one that's best for you.
What's the next big surprise going to be from Nintendo, Xbox, or PlayStation? What strategies might shift? It'll be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.
And that's a wrap on this deep dive. I'm Misha, and let me send out a huge thank you for listening. If you want more content on gaming, education, or other fun stuff, head over and find me on YouTube. Link is in the show notes. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next deep dive.